I had a problem, and I'll open this, probably help someone out there. When something came up, like let's say you called me up and you work for me or you're a vendor and you're like, oh man, this went on. My immediate reaction was like, holy shit, the sky is falling. This is the biggest problem of our life. And I focused on problems. That's all I did. Was when a problem happened, I focused on the problem.
If you're talking to that entrepreneur that, maybe it's just not happening because, you've been there before, right? We're both in sales, man. My whole life has been sales. And, just some days it just sucks. Some days you're getting the shit kicked out of you. Some days people just aren't saying yes. And it's just not happening, right? Sometimes there could be a little bit of a financial struggle. So many things happen in the world of an entrepreneur because we're the risk takers, man. We're the backbone of America, man. I mean, America needs small business owners more than anything. And what's that last piece of advice you can give that man or woman that says, you know what, I want a great life like Dustin too, man. I want to provide for my kids. I want to provide for my family. I want to do great things too. But man, it's fucking hard, man. And I'm struggling right now and things just ain't happening for me. What do you tell them? Yeah,
I think it's recognize that, right? Like, I think that's this misconception that entrepreneurship is not supposed to be hard or like life is. It's hard, man. It's like what you just said. And like, embrace that and know that here's why it's hard, because nobody else is willing to do it. And on the other side of everything that's hard or sucks, there is something great. And you can get there if you just don't quit. I actually enjoy when it gets hard because I know that nobody else is going to do it. Like, I know that people don't quit like because they don't want to do it. They quit when it gets hard. And you have to understand that if it's what you truly want, it's going to be hard, and embrace it, right? But know that every great thing is on the other side of hard, and nobody else is going to do it. And then since nobody else will do it, that's why nobody else has it. So I think recognizing that and being okay with that, right? Just go like, look, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to be frustrated, but don't allow yourself to stay, because the thing we don't realize is winning is contagious, but so is losing. And so when you're feeling that way, man, recognize why you're feeling that way. Like, I'm in a rut, okay? Why? To me, there is always, it's not really that people have a work ethic issue. They don't really sometimes have a skill set issue for certain things. It's that they don't know what they really want, right? And so, and I figured in my life, there's always been one, maybe two things that are holding me back from being successful. Every time I was in a rut, it was typically because of one or two things. I was drinking too much, right? I was hanging around the wrong people. I was sleeping in, whatever it is. And so I would say, if you're in a rut and it feels hard, man, first say, that's okay. It's supposed to be hard. Now, what are you going to do about it? And the second thing is self-audit who you're hanging out with, what you're doing, because I promise you, you're only one or two things of adjusting where you want to go. And like, for me, it was, I think I spent a lot of time hanging out with the wrong people. And then I would drink every weekend, man. And I would go out and party and drink heavily. And it held me back, because you don't get rid of your hangover to Tuesday, Wednesday. And by the time you're starting to get operating again, you fall right back in that trap. Now, you might have a little bit of success, but you're going to be average. You're going to be like everybody else. And so I had to eliminate things out of my life, who I was hanging out with, the stuff that I was doing, and then my life excelled. And so I think it's like when you're struggling as an entrepreneur, man, self-audit a few of the things you're doing. And typically, like, you'll notice, like, for me, I notice when I either get into a mental struggle or something's going on, I'm like, okay, what am I doing? All right, well, I'm not doing this. There we go, right? Like, there's always that one or two thing. And I just think, like, understand it is hard, but reverse your mind. So when it starts getting hard and you go, man, like, I want to quit. This is hard. This sucks. Go, hey, man, this sucks for everybody else, but not for me. Because guess what? When I get on the other side of this, there's nobody there but me. And I'm going to have everything I ever wanted. This shit's fun. And if you change it, it becomes like, I'm going to do something nobody else is going to do, because everybody else is feeling like this. Let me just go a little bit longer, because if I quit, it's never going to happen. If I keep going, I will eventually get there. And so you literally fail your way to success. You fail and fail and fail, and eventually you'll get there. And I just say, look, it sounds cliche, but don't quit, man, because it's supposed to be hard. And if you just change your mindset. Like, I had a problem, and I'll open this, probably help someone out there. When something came up, like let's say you called me up and you worked for me or you're a vendor and you're like, oh man, this went on. My immediate reaction was like, holy shit, the sky is falling. This is the biggest problem of our life. And I focused on problems. That's all I did was when a problem happened, I focused on the problem. Oh man, I can't believe they did that. I would call up, hey Joe, can you believe Daniel did that? Oh yeah, me either, man. Hey Steve, can you believe Daniel did that? Oh yeah, me either. I realized it was holding me back because I go, man, where am I getting with this? When a problem comes up, okay, here's the problem. Now what's the solution? I don't focus on problems. I only focus on solutions. And it could literally change my mindset. And then what I started doing was saying, okay, this happened. Okay, great. This is what I'm thinking. Hey, Daniel, I got a question for you, buddy. So this hit my doorstep. Hey, the first thing, it sucks. It's a big problem. But here's what I got. I got these 2 or 3 solutions. What do you think? And now instead of my buddy calling like, man, Dustin only calls to complain, he's like, oh, well, I like that one. Have you ever tried this? Never thought about that. What about this? So now we became solution oriented.
Right,
and what happened was I started building my circle of complainers to solution problems. And then what I realized was every time I had a problem, I just focused on a solution and I was able to solve it. Or the best trait of it all is a lot of your problems go away because they're really not that big of a deal. And by not focusing on them of a problem, it's actually a good way to get past them because you realize after about 24 to 48 hours, that little problem wasn't really a problem. It just made you emotional. So you thought it was bigger than what it was. And so it was easy to move on. And so if you can just do some of those things, man, it helped me tremendously. And it sounds so easy. And it's like, oh, this guy's an idiot. That's not, but it is. You're going to focus on the problem or you're going to focus on the solution. One's going to provide an outcome and one's going to get you anywhere.
It's funny because you said a little bit earlier, you said that, you knew that nobody would do it, and I remember driving home and it was probably 11 o'clock at night. I had to drive up into the mountains and I remember it was snowing a little bit. I mean, we don't get a lot of snow out here in California, but in the mountains in the wintertime, you get some snow. And I remember driving back and they, the clients told me no, and they were, complete, jerks to me. And it was just the worst appointment. And I'm probably 21, maybe 22 years old at the time. And I'm in my little $4,000 Nissan pickup truck. And, I'm trying to close and I didn't close and drove all that way, wasted all that gas. In my mind, I'm like, I wasted all this gas and I'm driving home. And then I'm thinking to myself, holy shit. Like nobody would be willing to do this. Like I'm gonna be so effing successful because nobody would like only the craziest people would be willing to do this, to work all day long. I worked, from 6 o'clock in the morning, checking my pending all day long, prospecting and following up and phone calls. And it's 11 o'clock at night and I made $0. I mean, the whole day I worked all day long. I made no money. And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, there's no way anybody would ever do this. I'm literally, this is the greatest opportunity of my life because nobody would be willing to do this. And that's when everything snapped for me, where I said, I'm willing to do what other people aren't willing to go do so that I could have an extraordinary life. And that I think is the difference. And that's why you have an extraordinary life. That's why you've been successful, because you have your thinking right. You're going the right direction. You're creating, you're building, you're making progress. You're happy, you're positive, you're motivated. This is the difference. You're healthy, right? I mean, all of these things are a combination, right? I call it the puzzle of leadership, right? You put all these little pieces, these puzzle pieces together, and eventually it creates this awesome masterpiece. But you got to put the pieces together. You can't get wasted every weekend and think you're going to build a successful company. You can't go beat your wife and think you're going to have a successful company. It's just certain things you can't do, right? You can't, yell and scream at your people all day long and never build relationships and think that you're going to build a successful company. So there's all of these things that are vital, that are critical to the future of your business, and then of course the future of your life, that are dependent on certain things. I mean, if you have no discipline, you're screwed, man. I mean, if you have zero discipline, you're screwed. If you don't master your craft and get your mindset right, you're screwed. I mean, you can't make it in anything. It doesn't matter whether it be the roofing business or financial services, ain't going to happen if you don't get certain shit right. And so powerful message today. Thank you, Dustin. I really appreciate you being on today. Kind of close us out with, tell us how to get in touch with you, how we can support you. Where do we find you? We want to follow you. We want to know more about you and connect with you, man. How do we do that?
Yeah. So the easiest way, obviously, social media, Facebook, Instagram, I'm on there. Dustin Gutkowski. It's pretty easy. See it on there. But if you go to Instagram or Facebook, reach out to me, follow me. Any questions, reach out. I'd love to help. People need advice. Just, hey, if I don't respond right away, I will. But please do. I love hearing your story. I love if people have questions. It's part of what I do. So yeah, social media is the easiest way, man. And I look forward to hearing from it. And just want to thank you for having me on and sharing, man. It's awesome. And congrats, man. It's so many episodes. People don't realize how hard that is to do. And I appreciate your time, man. Appreciate the effort you put into this.
If you like this video and you want to watch another one, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.